Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out GAV and Bob, an OGRYN story, Warhammer 40K by Vox and the Void here on YouTube. Yes guys, I've had so many recommendations on all of my other previous Vox and the Void videos for GAV and Bob. A lot of you guys have told me to go check it out. OGRYN. I don't really know a ton about OGRYN. The only knowledge I have of them comes from the fantasy Warhammer version. If you guys have been around the channel, I've talked about kind of briefly how I have played the Total War Warhammer games, and that just comes from the fact, again, I love Total War. I've been playing Total War games for years. I started off technically on Rome 2, but since then I've played the older ones. I bought the newer ones, and I thought the aspect of being able to fly around on a fucking dragon in a Total War game was pretty fucking cool. So that's kind of what enticed me to play the Warhammer Fantasy Total War games. So obviously I've seen the OGRYN unit before. Basically an ogre, essentially, for lack of a better word. Big, kind of lacking in intelligence. Super strong, super muscular, but really not smart at all. Not really capable of much higher thought, let's say. So I'm interested in what this story is going to be about. Obviously I'm assuming fan-made. Original version can be found here. Yeah, I'm assuming fan-made, so that's awesome to see. As usual, I love these fan-made Warhammer stories. I think it just adds so much more depth to the universe, and it's cool to get these little tidbits in between our major lore videos, so I can kind of just add to my knowledge pool a little bit, and have things to reference. I think that's interesting. But yeah, guys, without any further delay, leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Join our Discord, become part of the Legion, join our discussions. We got a lot of members in there now. We're getting up to about 30, so that's awesome to see. You guys are killing it that way, and I love seeing all the conversations going on in there. That's awesome. So I'm really happy about that. Obviously, big shout out to our members too, our Hastati and our Triarii, Paralyzed Tortoise. Big shout out to you, man. I appreciate you as always. But yeah, guys, without any further delay, let's get right into this video here. I'm excited to see it. Vox and the Void always makes great content. I love watching his videos.
Gav Smith was part of the Imperial Guard. He was a guardsman, and this made Gav very happy.
Okay, wait. So is this like a first person telling of it? That's funny. That's awesome. Okay. Sorry to pause right here. We're gonna restart, but I just didn't expect that. It's totally Gav was this made Gav happy. I think that's okay. I wasn't ready for that. So this is gonna be maybe more of a humorous one, but also the music makes me think it's gonna be sad. So I'm not sure. I think it's gonna be a mix of comedy and sadness. Oh man. Again, I'm gonna be writing stuff down as always.
Was part of the Imperial Guard. He was a guardsman, and this made Gav very happy. Gav liked being a guardsman, because then he could do the will of the immortal God Emperor, and that was one of Gav's most favorite things to do in the whole world.
Wow.
Today it was Gav's turn to fetch the huge sack of potatoes from the food wagon, and to peel them. Gav liked to do this, because he also liked eating potato peel. The Commissar said Gav was a good OGRYN, because Gav did all the things that he was told to do. This made Gav very happy.
Oh my god, what the fuck? This is kind of hilarious. So, sorry, but what the fuck? The Commissar told Gav that he was a good OGRYN, and this made Gav happy. What? Damn, dude. Okay. Somebody let me know a little bit more about the OGRYN. Where do they come from in the 40K universe? Obviously, in the fantasy context, it makes a little bit more sense, but I do know that when the warp was too unstable to travel and worlds broke off from each other, during the Age of Strife there. I do know that there's obviously the dwarves, I've been told, and I guess OGRYNs is another byproduct of that. Basically just people who, after they were cut off, their bodies and whatnot had to evolve to the worlds that they were now living on, right? Without any other external contact. So I'm guessing the OGRYN are a result of that, but maybe they're a result of like some gene manipulation in a sense. I'm really not too sure. It looks like they have cybernetics obviously in them too, which is interesting to see. But somebody let me know a little bit more about them, you know?
The commissar was not like other commissars, because he did not shout and shoot people for being scared of things like small spaces and the dark. This was good, because Gav did not like small spaces, and Gav was scared of the dark, because that was when nightmares came to get you. The commissar was Gav's friend. The commissar was not an OGRYN like Gav, and was really smart, and could read and write, and Gav could not do that, because it was too hard. Not even the Sarge could read long words, but the commissar said that that was okay, because Gav was better at killing orcs than he was. This made Gav very happy, because Gav liked to be useful.
Do you want to help peel the potatoes, Bob?
Bob was one of Gav's friends. They had come from the same tribe on the planet Barakak. Gav missed his tribe. When the war against the orcs was
something
over,
else, man.
He would be able to go back home. Or if more than 10 years was over. It had been nearly 2 years, and they had nearly won.
So again, I'm sorry to pause here. It's just so interesting, and like, it's hilarious to hear it from the first person perspective, because they're not like intelligent, but the like words still have a lot of meaning. You know what I mean? And it's very interesting to like see that. You know, it's wow. That's I didn't expect this going into it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what, like, if it was gonna be like a fucking, you know, like a horror show like some of the other ones that we've seen, or if it was going to be like more humorous or more like thought-provoking, like a Servitor's Tale. That was fucking great. But this is more thought-provoking in a sense, you know? I think that's like obviously a sense of humor. You can't help but laugh at like the context of it. But like, you know, it makes you still like think, because like they have faith in the Imperium in their own way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just interesting.
The commissar said this was because Gav and his friends were such good fighters, and they were making the Emperor happy by killing nasty orcs. The commissar's name was Larrykin von Kelverstein, but he said that Gav and his friends could call him Ari if they wanted to, because they were all friends.
Wow.
Yes, please,
said Bob. Bob liked eating potato peel too. For breakfast it was mashed potato and mushy peas. Gav did not like mushy peas. Peas should come in a pod, and they should not be mushy. Gav had used to grow peas for his tribe. Gav missed his tribe.
I see.
But he also had such wonderful friends here as well.
So the sense I'm getting from this tribe, so the world they come from, they must still be largely tribal, but obviously they're still, you know, capable of being drafted by the Imperium as fighters. That's very interesting, you know? So it makes me think, just from what he said, maybe this is completely wrong. Dude's got skulls on his fucking chest, maybe. But like, this OGRYN is describing a rather peaceful life back home. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, what? You know, you just don't expect that. Like, look at them, you know?
It was good to have friends. Especially when
he's talking about growing peas in his garden for his tribe, bro.
Gav
like, what?
Killed orcs with a big las cannon. The commissar said it was a gift from the Emperor, so Gav kept it clean and shiny, and made sure that he did not put it down somewhere and forget where. But sometimes he did.
Oh.
But then the commissar would come and tell him where he had lost it, and then he would tell Gav not to do it again. But Gav always did, even though he never meant to. This made Gav sorry. Bob killed orcs with a las cannon as well, but Bob did not lose his so much. Gav sometimes wished he was as good at not losing things as Bob was.
Oh.
The commissar did not have a big shiny gun like Gav. All Ari had was a small long las rifle, but that was okay, because the Ari was very small.
The Ari was very small?
Clever,
wow.
Because he had been everywhere and done everything. Once, he had stood on a landmine, and one of his legs was made of metal, and it went clonk when he kicked a stone. Gav was happy that his foot is not made of metal, because it sounds cold. Bob liked having potato peeling contests with Gav.
So this commissar actually has quite a bit of experience. That's interesting to see because, like, you know, he's obviously in charge of OGRYN, you know, but he's also, this commissar sounds very compassionate, but I guess you would have to be, otherwise all the OGRYN would be fucking dead. You'd execute them all, right? So he sounds very compassionate and very understanding for, like, these OGRYN, you know what I'm saying? Which is not a, it's not a trait you often see in commissars from what I understand, you know? Like, not at all, so, wow, I just think that's very interesting.
Bob liked having potato peeling contests with Gav. Gav kept on losing, but Gav did not mind, because he was peeling potatoes for the Emperor.
Oh.
Gav.
Let me just go back a little bit there.
Contest with Gav. Bob liked having potato peeling contests with Gav. Gav kept on losing, but Gav did not mind, because he was peeling potatoes for the Emperor.
That's such
Gav
a
loved
fucking awesome line.
Whenever he sparred with Bob, he always ended up knocked out, but he didn't mind. He knew that Bob was helping him get better, and the better he got, the better Gav could serve the immortal Emperor.
Wow.
Gav hated the small tank he had to ride in. Every time he was called to serve the Emperor, he had to ride in that scary, dark place. But it was all right, because Bob was there, and he'd lead all the other OGRYN in a rousing chorus of "The Emperor is the best."
Wow.
They only knew the chorus anyway, but it helped the dark, tight place seem less scary. The flashing lights always made Gav happy. That meant he was going to serve his Emperor. That meant the door would open, and he'd be able to shoot his gun. Gav loved his gun. He loved it when he fired it, and the enemy died.
Wow.
He'd hold down the trigger and shout at the enemy, making them die in the name of his Emperor, his best friend Bob, right beside him.
Wow.
He liked Bob. Bob was his best friend.
This is gonna get really fucking sad, isn't it? Like, they're building up, like, this huge, like, bond between, like, Gav, Bob, like, Ari, the commissar, all the other OGRYN. They're building up, like, this huge, like, how happy he is when he does his job. All these fucking guys are gonna die, aren't they? This is gonna be so depressing. Man, aw. I'm gonna fucking cry in this video, guys. Like, what the
Bob was his best
fuck?
friend. Gav had fought all kinds of enemies of the Emperor. His favourite were the greenskins, because they seemed to like fighting as much as Gav did.
That's fair, actually.
He knew to go for the big ones.
They relate to the
one who was
greenskins.
hitting all the others. It was a race to see who would kill the big one first. Bob usually won. If you killed the big one, the regular orcs would be easier to beat. The bugs scared Gav. They made him sick to his stomach, especially when he slammed the butt of his gun against their head, and they blew up all over him.
Wow.
They smelled bad, and tasted bad. You couldn't cook bugs. Not even the stumpies could make them taste good. The pants stealers were the
Stumpies.
worst. Gav always made sure his...
Stumpies, isn't that like a derogatory word for, like, the dwarves? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure I heard that in the fantasy as well, I'm pretty sure. Is that, like, derogatory for dwarf? Or just, like, what they call them, at least?
Tasted bad. You couldn't cook bugs. Not even the stumpies could make them taste good. The pants stealers were the worst. Gav always made sure his belt was extra tight when he fought pants stealers.
Pants stealers? What the fuck?
The humans who turned against the Emperor always made Gav
Who the hell are the
extra
pants
angry.
stealers? Somebody let me
Why
know.
did they stop loving the Emperor? What did the Emperor do to them, except love them and protect them?
Wow.
Gav always loved killing bad humans. It made him feel good. Commissar Ari said that was good. Being angry against traitors was good.
Wow.
That made Gav happy. When Ari first told Gav that, he'd hugged Ari so hard, he'd had to stay in the Medicaid hotel for a week.
Wow.
The food was really good when Gav visited. Gav had only faced the metalheads once, but he knew that he never
So
wanted
he,
to...
like, straight up injured the Commissar, and the Commissar just doesn't care. He's like, oh, yeah, he's just an OGRYN. He's fine, you know? That's kind of awesome. He sounds like definitely the Commissar you'd want to have, you know?
Gav had only faced the metalheads once, but he knew that he never wanted to do it again. No matter how hard you hit
Metalheads,
them,
Necrons.
they just get back up again. It wasn't fair. Every other enemy was kind enough to die when you showed them how bad they were. The metalheads were cheaters, coming back to life like that.
Wow.
Bob said that Ari said that his Professor Kane at the big school was scared of the metalheads. Gav didn't believe him. Commissars aren't scared of anything.
Wow.
And Kane is some kind of super commissar. He must melt metalheads with his eyes or something. Gav hated the Eldar. They were like shiny bugs. You'd almost get your hands on them and they'd slip through your fingers. Their little arrows hurt too.
Damn.
Bob was better at fighting Eldar than Gav. He'd back them into a corner and crush their mushy bodies with his bare hands.
They break easy once you corner 'em.
Bob would say, shiny blood covering his uniform. That made Gav smile. He missed Bob.
Missed
Always
Bob?
made him smile.
Oh no. Bob's gone.
Gav was there the day that Ari died.
Oh. Yeah, see, I fucking called that shit. God damn it, now everyone's dead. Everyone's dead and he doesn't have any friends anymore, man. Why?
Bob always made him smile. Gav was there the day that Ari died. One day, Gav and Bob and all their friends had gone for a walk. They were walking through a forest. Gav liked the forest because it smelled like home. Ari was walking at the back of them. He always did this to make sure none of them got lost. Gav once got lost. It had made him scared. Ari never got lost. He was really smart like that. But then an orc, all dressed like a tree, shot him. Gav did not see it happen. He could not stop it. The sound of Ari dying had warned them all. They had killed the nasty orcs with the big guns the Emperor had given them. But Ari was dead. They took him back to the camp to see if the flesh fixer could fix him. He tried, but Ari had already gone to the Emperor. This made the whole tribe sad.
That's
Everyone in
shitty.
the tribe liked Ari. Ari was smart.
Imagine he got done in by an orc dressed as a tree. That's a way to go, man. Fuck. I guess actually, like, nobody saw it, not even him, so fuck.
They dug a hole for Ari to sleep in. Bob was the priest of the tribe, so Bob said the death words over the place where Ari slept. The whole tribe wept. They did not weep for Ari, because Ari was with the Emperor. They wept for themselves, because they had been left behind.
I see.
Losing
That's
Ari
very
was
sad,
bad,
actually.
but losing Bob made Gav sadder than ever.
Wow.
Bob was the reason Gav hated demons as much as he did. He'd fought them before, and he'd found them to be so confusing. Some of them were easy, charging or shambling forward with big swords or small daggers. They broke easy. The skinny ones were like Eldar, but they made Gav feel weird. Looking at them was like looking at a girl OGRYN after Gav had learned what they were for.
Oh.
But they broke easier than the red skin or rotting demons. Once you could stop them from dancing.
Damn.
The last demons were the kind that took Bob. He hated them most of all. He hated their laughing at him. They'd surprised them after Bob and Gav had been leading their new commissar. Gav could never remember his name, into a church to the Emperor. Gav had a headache the whole time. They'd made the place bad. They'd broken statues of the Emperor and carved a weird flame all over the church. That's when the demons had attacked. They'd burned the commissar before any of Gav's groups could react. They looked like water that had grown faces. Looking at those faces made Gav's nose bleed.
So instantly they're killing the commissar again, and I'm guessing, like, that's probably a tactic when you're fighting OGRYN, right? Is to, like, take out their leadership, right? because they're not very intelligent. They don't really have a higher thought capability. Obviously, there's a sergeant, which is Bob, right? But they're still not the brightest, unfortunately. So taking out their leadership instantly, I'm sure could really ruin a force of OGRYN from something deadly and dangerous, because these guys are huge, wielding massive weapons, but the second their leadership is gone, I imagine they're not very cohesive at all, you know?
They'd burned the Commissar before any of Gav's groups could react. They looked like water that had grown faces. Looking at those faces made Gav's nose bleed. Gav would never forget those faces. Bob rushed into the thick of things, like he always did. Bob was always that way, charging forward for the Emperor, killing his enemies. Bob was good at that. He was a good friend. The water demons were fast, really fast. They jumped back and burned Bob to a crisp.
Damn.
But Bob didn't die like the Commissar. Gav sometimes felt bad that he couldn't remember the Commissar's name. He hoped someone remembered the Commissar's name.
Damn.
Bob caught one of the water demons with his hands and ripped it apart. It was pink before, and it had been happy, laughing. Now the two pieces were blue, and they weren't happy anymore. They attacked Bob and bit at him. The other tribe had started killing the other water demons, but they were too late. Bob's last words always made Gav sad.
I'm going to miss the potato skins.
Gav beat the blue water demons until he was slamming his hands into the floor of the church. He kept it up until he realized his hands were bleeding. He kept doing it until he realized he was crying. He kept crying until the general had found them.
Damn.
Gav still misses Bob. Bob was a good friend. Gav had never wanted...
This is really fucking powerful, man. And like, it's just like simple OGRYN, you know what I mean? And I think that's what makes it like so moving, is because, like, you know, again, the way he described his home, like his tribe, was pretty peaceful. I'm sure there was like infighting on the planet, whatever, right? But, you know, they don't sound necessarily like they're total killing machines without, like, you know, the motivation to be killing machines. You know what I'm saying? At least that's like what I'm understanding from them, because like he's talking about like all the tribes are weeping for the Commissar, like all this. They sound very, you know, they actually sound pretty peaceful for the most part, and that's, I think, what's very sad, you know? Like,
Bob was a good friend. Gav had never
maybe,
wanted to
again,
kill
maybe
one
that's
of
not wrong. Again, they don't look peaceful at all. They really do not look peaceful. They don't give me those vibes. But just the way, like, they're describing their culture and how they're acting, like, you know? Like, that's where I'm getting that from.
Bob was a good friend. Gav had never wanted to kill one of his friends. The general was a friend, but he wanted to kill the general once. He wanted to kill the general when he said that Bob needed to be burned. The tribe had their ways. Bob needed to be honored and buried, like all good friends. But the general said that Bob's body was sick, that if they didn't burn it, those water demons could come back. They burned Bob's body right there in that church. But not before Gav got his tribe together and gave him a short, proper funeral. Gav was Bob's best friend.
Like, see, and they even have
His
funerals
other
for their
tribesmen let him
own,
give
and
the
like
last
that's
words.
not something you would really expect.
Bob was a good friend. He liked to fight. He liked potato skins. He was a good soldier for the Emperor. Now he's with the Emperor.
Then one of the general's friends burned Bob's body right there in the Emperor's church. Now whenever Gav peels potatoes, he thinks of Bob. It doesn't hurt as bad anymore.
Wow.
Now he smiles and remembers how good a friend Bob was. Bob always made Gav smile. Even when he was dead, he could make Gav smile.
Damn, man.
Gav couldn't eat another potato skin. It didn't taste good anymore. Gav remembered the day he found the bad man who brought the water demons to the world. He would never forget that day. It was a week after Bob had been burned at the church. Bob was a good friend. The bad man had made an entire planet stop loving the Emperor.
Oh.
He was one of the Space Marines that had stopped loving the Emperor. He was blue and gold and made Gav's head hurt when he spoke. Gav hated him more than anything he'd felt about before. Except how much he liked Bob. The bad man had taken over one of the big churches on the planet. He was killing people to make more water demons. Gav wanted to stop him. He wanted to make the bad man pay for killing Bob. Bob had been such a good friend. Gav would make the bad man pay. A lot of Gav's human friends died to get to the bad man. The bad man had brought his friends with him. His friends killed a lot of Gav's friends. That only made Gav hate the bad man more. His fellow guardsmen slowly made it closer to the big church. Gav wasn't scared of his small tank anymore.
So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this a demon or an actual like Primarch himself, you know what I'm saying? Or is this just the traitor Astartes? Somebody let me know, because like specifically, because obviously like he's talking as an Ogryn would talk, and I'm not, you know, I'm not fully in tune with that just yet, so somebody please let me know, okay?
He was angry. He would make the bad man pay.
Foolish dullard.
Jesus.
You hardly deserve to be considered sentient.
Oh,
The bad man used big words.
damn.
His voice made Gav's head hurt. His eyes bled, but he continued to try to run towards the bad man. Gav's tank had been blown up, and a lot of his friends were dead. They'd been good friends, but not as good as Bob. Bob was Gav's best friend. Gav would make the bad man pay. The bad man was as big as Gav. He was standing on top of a big set of stairs, right at the entrance to the church. He made Gav's human friends die with lightning, and he laughed. Gav hated it when the bad man laughed. He wanted to make the bad man shut up forever.
So he's just like this is obviously a high level psyker, obviously as well, if he's able to fucking just to spew lightning bolts, but this is chaos we're talking about, obviously, so it's not too far off, you know. Man, I don't think Gav is going to succeed. I think this ends with Gav's destruction is my guess right now. Wow, you know, this is a very sad story, you know what I mean? It's humorous and like lighthearted at first, but then it's like it gets really fucking sad, I'm not gonna lie. Wow. I wasn't expecting this.
The bad man shut up forever. The bad man struck Gav with the lightning. It hurt. It hurt real bad. Gav almost stopped running up the stairs, but then he remembered Bob. Bob wouldn't stop running. Bob would keep going. Gav wanted to be like Bob. Gav wanted to make the bad man pay. Gav would always remember the day he walked with little godlings. The bad men in the blue and gold armor were hard to kill, and they used heresy and magic. That made Gav hate them. Gav heard whispering in his head. They whispered how he could have everything he ever wanted.
So like Chaos Marines,
but they
definitely.
had nothing he wanted. They had
Wow.
taken a friend from him. Gav roared at them, and the bad men had died when he shot them. They could not whisper to him. His mind was too full of the Emperor's love, but they were too hard to kill, and they kept coming back. But the Emperor had sent his children to help him. The Emperor had a lot of children, and they were all very strong. All of the Emperor's children were little godlings. Gav and the tribe fought with them. They were very hairy, and had teeth that were just like Gav's teeth. They had armor just like the bad men, but it was grey and blue.
So these oh man, those are the space wolves. I think is that what they're called? The Valhalla guys. I know. I'm pretty sure I know what he's talking about there. So it's obviously a chaos legion or chapter. obviously Legion, I guess, would be more closer because, you know, they weren't divided into chapters, obviously. Yeah, this is obviously that versus, like, you know, Space Marines, and there's obviously an OGRYN and Guard army alongside. This is very interesting hearing, like, his perspective on everything, you know? I didn't expect this going into it at all.
Gav wished he could wear armor like that. When the war was over, the godlings in the grey armor gave gifts to the tribe. They said the Emperor loved them very much.
Guess he did survive it.
Then they sang songs for the dead.
Evolution has left you behind, scum. It's a pity you're too unintelligent to understand just how foolish you are.
The bad man wouldn't stop talking. Gav swung his big fists at him, but the bad man was fast. Faster than Gav thought he should be.
Maybe not.
Gav was getting tired, trying to hit him. The bad man hit him with his big staff. Gav went flying into a statue of the Emperor, shattering it. He felt bad. He wanted to apologize to the Emperor for breaking his statue, but he couldn't catch his breath. His entire body hurt. He'd never hurt so bad in his life. The bad man was kneeling beside him. He grabbed Gav's neck and squeezed.
I pity you, poor creature. For this, you shall get the kindness of a quick death.
Gav lifted himself up suddenly and headbutted the bad man.
Wow.
You killed Bob!
He shouted. He grabbed the bad man by the throat and lifted him up, driving his fist into the bad man's stomach.
You killed Bob!
The bad man shot lightning at him, but Gav hardly felt it. He was angry. Bob was a good friend, and the bad man's demons had killed him. Gav would make the bad man pay.
An OGRYN in, like, hand-to-hand is actually as physically strong as a fucking Chaos Marine, is that correct? Even without, like, armor and augmentation? Like, they look fucking jacked, so that might not be entirely wrong. Somebody let me know, because, like, he's fucking, you know... Damn.
The bad man kicked and punched at Gav, but Gav wouldn't let go. His arms hurt from holding the bad man up.
You killed Bob!
He tossed the bad man onto his stomach and jumped on top of him, grabbing his strange helmet and slamming his head down into the concrete.
Damn.
Again, and again, and again.
You killed Bob!
Slam.
You killed Bob!
Slam.
You killed Bob!
Slam. Gav was crying now. Bob had been a good friend.
You killed Bob!
Slam. The bad man wasn't moving now.
Killed Bob!
Slam. The bad man's helmet was leaking this strange powder.
Wow.
You killed Bob!
Slam.
God damn.
Slam. 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 He was still slamming the empty armor into the ground when the Emperor's grey children came. His skin was burned and blackened. His eyes were bleeding as he cried, and every bone in his hands were broken. But he'd made the bad man pay.
Wow. So he actually did survive, and he took him down himself. Man, that would be something to come across, though. You just see an OGRYN fucking murdering, like, annihilate this Chaos Marine. That would be something to fucking see, to walk up on. I'm sure that gained the respect of the Astartes present, like, for sure. Like, holy shit. Wow, guys, that was honestly, I was not expecting that at all, to be real with you. That was, like, very fucking sad, okay? Very lighthearted and humorous at the start, and then it just became very, very sad. But that was, like, it was very good, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that was a very, like, touching story, you know what I mean? Like, whereas A Servitor's Tale is more thought-provoking, this was more thought-provoking, but in a different way, you know what I'm saying? Like, it shows how this other class of human, I guess, basically loves and appreciates the Emperor, arguably more than just baseline humans. Maybe because of how simple their intelligence is, but that also makes them not corruptible. Like, he tried to corrupt them and he was just like, nah. Because they just, like, they take things at such, like, a low level that they just, you know, you know, you killed my friend. That's all the motivation that an Ogryn really needs. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. That's actually very like touching, you know, to see that, you know, whereas a human, you know, might lose people, but might still be corruptible by chaos just because they have that higher thought, right? That's very interesting, you know. Man, I thought this was really, really good. I can see why you guys wanted me to watch this now. Like, I'm sorry I'm not as you know, as hype anymore. That was, you know, it's got me thinking. That was a sad fucking story, guys. Like a very sad story. But I really liked it. I liked the end of it too, and it's cool that, you know, obviously Gav survived, you know, everything there, and you know, he didn't fucking die like everybody else, like all of his friends, that was sad, man. Like, I think when the Commissar died, like that was probably the saddest part there, because it's just like, he's a baseline human. He was actually a good Commissar, and he like, what was his name, Ari, yeah. They actually had a funeral for him, and they like wept for him, you know what I mean? I think that's like very interesting, because I don't think that's something that happens very often, you know, even amongst Guard. You know, they're probably more happy when their Commissar gets fucking killed, you know, because it's like, oh, thank God, you know, but still, you know. Man, what a great story that was. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big shout out to our members, our Hastati, and our Triarii Paralyzed Tortoise. Big shout out to you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Also, go join the Discord, be a part of our Legion, come join in on discussions, or just come chill. You know, talk with everyone else. It's a great time, and you know, again, we're getting quite a few people in there now, and it's cool to be able to talk to y'all and interact with y'all that way. So it'd be great to see you guys in the Discord there. So there should be a link in the description, but if you want a clickable link, click on the channel. There should be one there for you to join. So go check that out for sure. But yeah, guys, without any further delay, this has been Centurion, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.